Welcome to Content Outlet. Please subscribe and like our video, therefore it will help our channel and our channel's creators. Most people go through their everyday lives not worrying about what tomorrow is going to bring. Most live on a day-to-day basis with the same daily routines, never really worrying about the millions of dangers that surround them constantly. Not to mention the dangerous people hiding in the shadows waiting for their next unsuspecting victim. Well, today we will be discussing 3 mysterious cases about 3 people that seem to fall victim to just that. While 2 of these cases, the killer still remains hidden in the shadows, but investigators were able to bring one suspect to face justice and shed some light on their situation. Number 1. Andrew Sadek. For most people, college is a fun and exciting new experience and a great way for one to find themselves. And it is also a great experience for one to find what they would like to do for the rest of their lives. But that would not be the case for Andrew. Andrew, a 20-year-old student of North Dakota's College of Science. In 2013, Andrew was busted for selling marijuana to his classmates. He would sell to some of his classmates in the school parking lots. And on 2 different occasions, he sold to an undercover informant. On one of the occasions, he had sold 3.5 grams of suspected marijuana, and on the second, only 1 gram. After being arrested, SEMCA, a multi-county agency to help tackle North Dakota's crime rate, and also which arrested Andrew for the crime, gave him an offer. They offered him a job as a confidential informant, and the job then would get rid of his new felony marijuana charges. Andrew agrees. About 1 year later, Andrew is seen leaving his dorm room in the early morning hours of May 1st, 2014 for the last time. He was not seen again until his body was discovered floating in the Red River, which is north of Breckenridge, Minnesota, and adjacent of North Dakota. The reason for his death was a single gunshot to the head. His body did show some mysterious clues, like the backpack he was wearing was full of rocks, and the clothes he had been found in did not seem to be the same clothes he had on the CCTV footage leaving his dorm room. Now, most would find that pretty suspicious, or at least a bit odd, but not the police. They still feel that Andrew committed suicide, shot himself in the head, and fell backwards into the Red River. But so many questions still linger. One of the big questions is, why would Andrew fill his backpack full of rocks before shooting himself? And if he did commit suicide, where is the suicide note? And where is the weapon he used to shoot himself? Neither were found. And even after the family filed a civil suit suing the police, stating that they were negligent at opening and investigating his case as a homicide. Basically, they were stating that the police were trying to cover their own tails because they knew that Andrew was shot because he was a confidential informant, and they would be held responsible for the way they handle their young CIs. But we'll leave it up to you. Do you think it was a suicide, or do you think it was a homicide? Let us know in the comments below. Number 2. Joseph Danny Casolaro. Danny was getting ready to leave his house on August 8th, 1991, to meet a news source to get information regarding a news story he was working on, called The Octopus. He was driving to Martinsburg, where him and his source were supposed to meet. Before leaving his house, he had mentioned to his brother that he had been receiving threatening phone calls and said that he has been being harassed for some time now, but the harassment would only take place at night. And before he left, he turned and told his brother If something were to happen to me while in Martinsburg, just know it was not an accident. Danny left the house later in the afternoon to begin his trip to Martinsburg, but Danny would not be heard or seen again until his body was found in a bathtub in a room at the Sheraton Hotel in room 517 in Martinsburg by the housekeeping staff. The sight was so gruesome, the housekeeper fainted when she first saw the scene. Danny was found lying in the bathtub with deep cuts to his wrist. Coroner said bleeding out was the cause of death, so the police then ruled his case a suicide, stating there was no sign of struggle nor any sign of forced entry, and a single piece of paper was left on his nightstand that read, "To those who I love most, please forgive me for the worst possible thing I could have done. Most of all, I am sorry to my son. I know deep down inside that God will let me in." The police believe the note lying on the nightstand was Danny's suicide note, but Danny's close friends and family believe something else. They believe that he was murdered, and the murderer had set the stage as suicide. They believe that for a couple of reasons. The first reason is the story he was researching was quite controversial. It had to do with things such as illegal activities and accusations against some powerful people from Washington, D.C. The second reason and big concern that Danny's friends and family had was that Danny had a terrible phobia of the sight of blood, so slitting his own wrist just didn't sit well with Danny's family. And also the number of cuts that were inflicted to Danny's wrists, which was 12 or more cuts. He also mentioned to his brother about, "If anything would happen to me, don't believe that it was an accident." But still to this day, Danny's case is closed and considered a suicide, but a lot of questions still remain unanswered. So what do you think? Suicide or a homicide? Let us know in the comments below. Number 3. Morgan Harrington. It's October 17th, 2009. Metallica was doing a show at the John Paul Arena. Morgan and her 3 friends decided they'd take the drive to Charlottesville to attend the concert. They arrived at the John Paul Arena at the University of Virginia. During the opening act of the show, Morgan said that she needed to use the bathroom, and she wanted to go now so she would be back in time for the main event. When Metallica came on stage, Morgan's friends began to wonder where Morgan could have gone. They all just figured she must have walked out of the event and security just wouldn't let her back in. So her friends tried to call her phone around 8:48 p.m., and Morgan said she couldn't come back in for them, not to worry that she would find a ride home. Later, witness accounts stated they had seen Morgan hitchhiking on the bridge nearby. 2 other witnesses also stated they seen Morgan leaving the arena with 3 men. And little did anybody know, this would be the last time anybody has seen Morgan. Her purse was found after the disappearance, containing her cell phone, which had its battery removed, and her ID, which was located in an RV lot at UVA's Lanigan's Athletic Field. And then, on January the 26th, 2010, about 10 miles away from the arena, in a remote area of a 742-acre Anchorage farmland, found by a farmer, was the dead body of Morgan Harrington. Police say the body was found about 1.5 to 2 miles away from road access. The coroner had stated that Morgan was likely raped and murdered. Police and investigators wouldn't release any information but only to her parents, and her parents explained they were informed she was brutally murdered and her body endured severe trauma and had broken bones. Police did state that Morgan's t-shirt was found 1.5 miles away from the arena outside an apartment building and said it was 100% the shirt she had wore the night of the concert. And police also stated they had found a forensic link between Morgan's case and a sexual assault and kidnapping all the way back from September of 2005. But in September of 2014, Morgan's case was then linked to another murder of a Charlottesville, Virginia woman by the name of Hannah Graham. The case was connected through forensic evidence pertaining to a man by the name of Jesse Matthew. Matthews was the main suspect in the later case. Matthew was indicted on October 20th, 2014 for an abduction case in Fairfax, Virginia from 2005. Matthews was then indicted and formally charged with the first-degree murder and abduction with intent to defile in the murder of Morgan Harrington. Matthews was never charged in the first indictment of the abduction in 2005, but ultimately pled guilty to the first-degree murder of Morgan Harrington and the first-degree murder of Hannah Graham. On March 2nd, 2016, he was handed a sentence of 4 consecutive life sentences. As part of his plea agreement, he waived his right to appeal and would not be eligible for early release or parole. Well, that was 3 strange and mysterious murder cases. I hope you guys liked the video. Once again, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.